Thank you for joining the November 6, 2018 VOLTA call. We do post these meetings to YouTube afterwards, so keep that in mind during any discussions or presentations. And with that, I think we'll start today's meeting. So this is our first week on Sprint 10 for VOLTA 2.0. We do have it planned again for 3 weeks, which is our usual sprint interval. And so that will take us through the 23rd of November on our schedule. So the first item for today is to go over the new JIRA issues that have come in since last Tuesday's meeting. So let me switch over to that screen. And the first one, this one has been done already. This is a defect opened on the OpenOLT. There is a driver agent compile error. So that was completed in Sprint 9, so that work is already done. Do you have any questions from the group on this issue? Okay. Next item, 1307. This one, I believe, was closed with nothing that needed a change on the VOLTA side. Let me see if Corey joined. I do have. Is there anything we need to comment on this issue, Corey?
No, there is nothing that we need to do about this issue.
Okay. And so if you do want to see the background, you can go look at the discussion in the comments for folks, but that was closed with no action. 1308. This is another defect opened, OpenOMCI code failure for serial number in circuit pack and ONUG. And so this one, so I think I saw Chip join the bridge as well. This was opened by Craig last week, and we have a description of the errors in the description field here. So Chip, I wanted to check with you if this was one that you think will be addressed in Sprint 10 for the open work.
Yeah, I believe so. I think we can. I didn't know if Craig wanted to do that, or I can dig into it. Okay.
So I was looking at you more as the lead for it, not necessarily assigning it to you. So I probably should have clarified.
I'll get with Craig after the call and see what he's up to, because he's made a few changes that have been pretty good so far.
Talk to you later.
Where's my? Was that you, Craig? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, that was me. I'll talk to Chip afterwards.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Then I think we can move on to the next item, 1309. This was another, this is a task opened by Craig, and this is for the resource manager profile should load profile using device discovered, vendor and model information. We have a description down below and a request for a more extensible and flexible mechanism for loading that info into the resource profile rather than hard coding. And so this was opened last week as well. And
I may have duplicated issues. This has actually been completed. Let me take care of closing that for you.
Okay, sure. Do you want me just, do I need to put a cross-reference to another issue in here?
Probably. Let me track it down for you and I'll get it updated.
Thank you. All right, then we can move on to 1310. And this one was opened by Gilles, and this is to allow a number of ONUs deployed to be dynamic on a cluster using PONSIM v2. And so we have the description here. And so the dynamic aspect is, I believe, possible with the original Docker Compose-based PONSIM, but is not there in PONSIM v2. So this is requested for support for test automation. We have any comments or discussion from the group? Okay, I'm not hearing any. Let me check.
Really, I've got that cross-reference on that previous one.
Great, thank you.
1312.
1312. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so for this item, I think what we need to do is see if this could be supported in Sprint 10 for Ponson V2, or if this needs to be looked at a later time. I'm trying to see if who we've got on the bridge today. Any comments from the group? Let me see if, and Gilles, I think I see you on as well if you want to add any more comments to the discussion
Yeah,
today.
it's not that urgent that this
Okay.
gets done, but you know, it's not necessarily for this sprint.
Okay. Then I think we'll keep this in the backlog for now.
Okay.
Since we've got a pretty full sprint 10. If we do have folks who free up who can work on this, then we can go ahead and pull it in, and they can either pull that in themselves and assign it, or just let me know and I can do that. Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Then our next item, 1311, was a new defect that was opened, and this one is complete at this point. This was on OpenOMCI read failure when get action on the managed entity table attribute. And so we have a description of that in the description field here, and then it has been merged in Garrett.
Yeah, and I have a comment there. There's actually an OMCI task that you can do a GET request that will span multiple actual GET operations. So it'll actually do like a message pull up for you. So
Okay. Well, there's two parts to this. One is the part that's been committed is more of a workaround. I don't know if we've actually fixed this particular issue of doing a GET on a table. So I guess, Chip, I'll talk to you. I can talk to you offline about
okay.
what you just mentioned, that there's an operation to do that. At the moment, the workaround has sufficed to avoid the issue that we were having. So I'm not sure this is a priority for Sprint 10 or not. But
And that actually reminds me, so Craig, thank you for mentioning that that was a workaround. I had meant to ask you if this needed to stay in progress, since you added a comment that the issue should remain open since the Garrett commit was just a workaround. Do I need to move this back to in progress? Or wait?
I think you move it back to do.
To do. Okay. Let me do that. Thank you.
I'm not working it. I don't think Chip's working it, and I'm not sure it's a high priority item at the moment. It just it doesn't appear to support table GETs.
Okay, so I had put it in Sprint 10 just before the call because it had been there was the workaround and it was showing as done. So I probably should remove that at the moment. And then Chip, if this is one that you think needs some work in Sprint 10, and Craig also, then we can reassess that. But I'll leave it. Oops, I thought I cleared that. Let me try again. Probably hit the wrong button. Okay. So I'll leave that in the backlog for now, unless I hear otherwise from you. Other comments on this? Chip, were you saying something?
I just had an email come in.
Okay, sorry. All right, we'll move on to 1312. And this one was on the resource manager should not require hard-coded vendor. This was actually the one you just mentioned. It was a cross-reference for the other, and so this one is complete. Okay, so I think we don't need to discuss this because we talked about it briefly with the other one. Any comments before we move on? Then the next one, 1313. This is OpenOMCI losing transactions when multiple concurrent tasks are operating. And this one was opened by Craig, and we have the description. And then I believe this, let me scroll down. There it is. We have a merge in Garrett as well for this item. Questions from the group? And Craig, I'm guessing you were the one who submitted this. I didn't check in Garrett. Is that correct? Or did we have someone else?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let me add you as the assignee then. Okay. Next item, 1314, clean up and remove permissive and other compiler warnings. So this is a cleanup task related to C++ compiler warnings that had been suppressed. And so the cleanup has been done and that merge is complete as well. Any comments or questions for the group? And this was for the OpenOLT driver. All right. Moving to the next one, we've got 1315, a new story, and this one is in progress, being worked by Sergio on the VOLTHA affinity routing epic, and this is the API to set the back end. And so this is, we've got the description down here to allow us to set the back end that the affinity router is using dynamically.
Yep.
Any discussion? Yes.
Yeah, no, so that's basically done, but
okay.
Until I'm committing the whole thing in one big bang. So
okay.
I'm not going to change the state of any of these till I actually do the first commit.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a lot of these that are done. They're just not done because there's I could switch them to complete, but then there'd be no code associated with them.
Yeah.
If I do that.
Okay, thanks for letting me know that. So we'll just wait and see those all come in one large commit and then closing these out again at that time. Okay, thanks, Sergio. All right, the next one, API to set affinity. This is a way to force certain affinities outside of the normal routing API flow. This is another.
Again, everything that goes under that epic.
Yes.
Is all going to be submitted in one big bang.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going over it because it was a new issue this week.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I created those. Yeah, remember I said I was going to clean it up last week, so I did, and I added a few more. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. All right. Questions for Sergio before we move on? Next new issue this week is 1317, OpenOMCI not enforcing stop and wait protocol. And this one was opened just a few days ago by Craig. And I believe there was some discussion on VOLTHA Discuss, if I remember correctly, as well. Any discussion on this item today? Craig, I'm not sure if you were trying to say something. I saw your name pop up, but I didn't hear anything.
Well, I just wanted, I wrote this, I follow up VOLTHA Discuss. Just fell out of work that I'd done earlier on missing transactions, but it was discovered that it would be multiple gets in parallel to the ONU. Sure how much of an impact that has to ONUs out of from the OMCI perspective.
Craig, your audio is breaking up pretty badly. I'm not able to hear much of what you're saying.
And let me get rid of the headset if that helps any better.
Sorry. Yeah, much better.
Yeah, this was just cataloging the issue from VOLTHA Discuss. It fell out of the work that I'd done on the multiple transactions. It does appear that the OMCI stack is sending multiple GET requests or multiple transactions to the ONUs without doing stop and wait in some situations. So I don't know how big of an issue this is to the different varying ONUs, but I just wrote it as a follow-up to the discussion that we were having.
Thank you. All right. Comments from anyone else on the bridge today? All right. I'm not hearing anything. I think since there has been some discussion on VOLTHA Discuss, my recommendation right now would be to not map it into the sprint unless someone calls us out as an urgent one for sprint 10, and maybe we can address it during sprint 11 with defect resolution. But I'll take comments from the group if anyone has an alternate suggestion.
Sean, so it might be good to get some feedback from the ONU vendors if any ONU vendors are on the call, or we can maybe message them later. I mean, the OMCI protocol is stop and wait. So, and as far as I know, you have to complete the request and respond before you receive another request from the ONU side. So I don't know if Chip has any input, or any of the ONU vendors have any input on that, but we should just it may be that we really need to enforce this stop and wait requirement that the OMCI has. It may cause weird errors down the line.
Yeah, I think I sort of agree. I think that was an oversight on my part when I did the communications channel. So I think we probably need to be as strict as possible to the standard.
So Chip, are you thinking we should try and cover this in Sprint 10 rather than Sprint 11 then?
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
Now that more OMCI capabilities are available, I think it's only a greater chance that we'll start running into issues if we don't address it early.
Okay. Let me go ahead and map that in for Sprint 10. So Chip, were you expecting to work on this one, or were you going to wait and see on who should be assigned on this item?
I guess whoever comes up first on it. I'm currently I'm exclusively working on OMCI bugs and debuggability capabilities this Sprint, so if I can get to it, I will.
All right, so I'll leave it unassigned for this point, but I have put it in the Sprint, and we can probably delete my comment here, since we're going to cover this in Sprint 10. Okay, thanks Chip, thanks Sean. Then we'll move on to the next one, which is the new epic for the containerization of the OpenOLT adapter. And so this one has in the description a list of some of the tasks required to complete this work. So I think this will get probably fleshed out in some additional user stories related to this epic.
Hi Julie, Arun here. Yeah, so I'm still in the process of creating the user stories, but mostly the first item that we would require is basically more relevant details about the code which we need to put inside the base OpenOLT Docker. So I think we will have a discussion on the Thursday's call with Ken for that.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think we're expecting this to complete in Sprint 10, hopefully. Should I move the entire epic to Sprint 10?
Yeah, actually that is the thing. I am not very much sure if that will be done in the complete thing will be done in Sprint 10.
Okay, so I'll wait while you're working on the additional stories, and we'll see how this develops. And then we can move it in if that's better. Okay.
Sure.
Then questions before we move on? All right, next item, 1319. And this is the OpenOMCI MIB database key error during MIB audit. And this one was a recent open from Chip and is being worked by him as well. We've got the description of the issue in the description field here. Questions or comments? Okay, let me.
This is Lin. Yeah, this is Lin. I have a question for Chip. Is this problem related to the issue that the MIB upload in infinite loop?
No, it's not. This occurs when the OLT is doing service, or OpenOMCI is doing service provisioning, and in this one case where it sets up the MAC bridge port configuration, which causes the ONU to create one to 6 different ONU created MEs. So during the audit, we see it as being needed to synchronize into the Open OpenCI database, and it was just a query that needed to be handled properly before the change was made.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? See if anything else came in during the call. We do have one more. Okay. So 1320. This one is to allow to deploy locally built images for VOLTHA test automation. And Julie, I see this is one that you opened here against the VOLTHA test automation epic. And we're targeting it for Sprint 10.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the group for this new issue, new story? Okay, then let me just check once more. And that looks like it's covered the new issues today. So let me go over here, 20. All right, and then let's take a look at what we've got in Sprint 10 right now. So we do have a number of issues that did carry over from Sprint 9, which we kind of knew was going to happen. So those are included here. I wanted to check on kind of a quick status for some items as we're going on. So Ken, I think I saw you on the bridge earlier. I think the only remaining item for the first one that I've got on the screen here for Vol 689 is on the integration testing. Is that correct?
Yes, there are some integration testing involved at this time. There's still some work left in the core, but it would be functional for containerization efforts. So there is some integration involved with all the other items that, like for example, the more integration required with the affinity router, with the OF agent, with the CLI, those kind of integration is still required.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the group? And we'll move on to the next one. This one still has a few more items in progress. I think this is Vol 1027. And so this is for the 2.0 data model. And I think we've got the storage data model is still to do, and then a couple additional tasks as well. Is everything, and let me see if we've got Stefan on the call. Let's see. I don't believe we do. Are we aware
the work, the work is progressing.
Okay.
We just got a nasty bug in the model that we're chasing. So once that's got done, like most of the model work will be completed.
Right.
There will still be some part of HA that will be left with the model, but most of it will be there. All
right. So it sounds like we're reasonably on track then for Sprint 10 for this work as well. So thanks for that, Ken. And then the next one, 1032. And this one, okay, let's see. I guess we do still have one item open. Okay, I missed that. So on the gRPC API handler in Go, there's still some work remaining to be done on the NBI API handling. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's really the integration with the affinity router.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that one I think is on track then. The next one, 1034, and this is for the southbound adapters with the intercontainer Kafka library. And we have one in progress item remaining, I believe, for that.
Yeah, that work is pretty much done. There will be a few APIs that will be not implemented right away, but it definitely in Sprint 10 it'll be there. I'm just waiting for the other adapters to start containerization and to figure out which API would be actually required or not.
Got it. All right. Thank you. All right. Then I will go on now to, I think let's take a look at the in progress items. And so 1298, I think I saw Shad on here. So this is for the new directory structure for OpenOLT repo. And let's see. trying to, I think all of the Garretts I see here are closed. Shad, is this one still in progress? Let's see if Shad is still on the bridge.
That's done. It was a simple, just a directory structure thing.
Okay.
I'm
so
talking about.
Go ahead. Pardon?
Yeah, I'm talking about 1298. That.
Yes. Okay, so I'll move that to done. Thank you.
Yeah, but the real work of actually doing something with that new directory structure, that's not yet started.
Okay. Do we have, whatever stories we need open for that, or is that still to be coming?
No, I haven't opened stories yet because I'm not sure when I will be able to start working on that. So I haven't created any Jiras yet.
Okay. Would you rather me leave the other one open with a comment about the new stories coming, or is it okay to have that one in the done column at this point?
No, this is done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And then Chip, maybe we'll cover some of the OpenOMCI work in flight. I'll go through your stories at this time, if that's okay. So we've got 699 on the external MIB database enhancements.
And that's just to try to help improve performance on it. And the long publish, that's in review right now. And hopefully that'll be finishing up this week. Maybe we'll have to change a few categories or severity levels.
Let me scroll down, see if I have some other ones with you assigned. I don't think, oh, here we do. 1319, we just talked about this one, I believe, under the new issues. So we don't need to cover that now. Okay, I think that's it for the to-do work. Let me go back up, find my place. Okay, 1082 is just going to close out when the core restructure work is done. We had some discussion from Sergio about the affinity router work. Those will all come in a large commit and close those at that time. And then 732, we've made some small progress, I think, towards getting the supporting work. This has been reviewed by David. I did see that. So I believe Sarov, hopefully, unless it's passed on to someone else, is going to be able to give the +2 so we can merge this in. But I'm not sure if David joined the bridge today. I don't see David, but thanks to him for getting that review in. So Gamza, we're still trying to chase down how to get this merged in, but making some small progress, I think, at this point. Any comments from the group on this, or if there's anyone else who has expertise in this area that could assist with the +2 or review, that would be appreciated. So we've been trying to get this resolved for a bit. And then
so I think Girish is also kind of blocked on doing some work for downstream schedulers and SLA by the bandwidth profile. So that's kind of blocking some of his work too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I know Sean Ying was going to be he had a conflict for part of this. I was going to talk to him later. I think he's going to be down at ONF. I was going to see if he could assist me with some discussions for that. So we're working on it. We're making a little progress, but still don't have that complete yet. So once that first merge goes in, then let me scroll back. Where was I? Once the first merge goes in, then I think we'll get the 2 of the other patches. We'll be able to pass Jenkins at that point and hopefully be merged in, or just need that initial trigger for that first change to happen. Okay, other comments or questions, updates from the group? Okay, then, so as soon as we have an update here, we'll get that in, but it's still trying to track that down. Okay, 1132, let me see if we've got Matt on the bridge. I see you on, Matt. This is when I think that you were working.
Yeah,
and related to some work Chip just checked in.
Yes, yeah, he got his resync stuff in, and I've been testing it the last day or so, and it's looking really good. It probably is very little that I have to do at all, other than just comment out my overridden sync class and just let the base class do all the work now.
Okay.
So that may be all that the change really is.
Great. Thank you for that. I should ask questions before we move on. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Okay. Next item. People have been putting in updates. Let me refresh this in case I missed something. Okay. So 184. This one, Lynn, I think this is one you've been working.
Yes, Yes, this code has been committed by the end of last week, so it's under review right now. So
okay.
Please Chip and the other to review that.
Yeah, maybe an explanation of how what the environment needs to be set up to do the upgrades. I personally don't have any software to upgrade my ONU, but I think there's mention of maybe like a web server or having something set up to host files on.
Yes. So actually it's a little bit complicated, this feature. Maybe I need to write a short guide to test this feature.
Yes, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
And I guess some of us will need to go to Alpha or other ONU vendors and get software so we can actually test and upgrade. I don't have any upgraded software for mine, so. But yeah, anybody else who happens to have some, if it's easy to use, that's probably the biggest thing for me right now is just finding the software.
Yeah, I plan to test it out this week or next week on the AdTrans.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Lynn. Other comments or questions from the group? And then, Lynn, I think I heard you say you plan to write a short guide for the process as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
How to test it is, yeah.
Okay. All right. Next one, I don't think we've heard. I haven't seen any updates come in. Let me just double check. So I think likely what we will do is, I'll keep this on here a little bit longer, but I think we're at this point waiting for a response from Daniel to the comments in Garrett. So we'll see if this can be completed. If not, it may have to move out to future at this point, but we'll keep tracking that, see if we can get a response in Garrett to the comments there. And then next, okay, so we've got one of the items on the affinity router, so I think we can move past that. We have the larger, let's see, oh, wait, this is the affinity proxy request response handling. So this one is actually one that Richard is working instead. And I do see we have a number of closed reviews. Do we have Richard on? I don't see Richard. Ken, do you happen to know the status of this one, if it's still in progress?
I think the work itself, the gist of the work is done, but there are in a way the proof of concept work is done in the sense of this is a transaction handling with the affinity router. We know that works. So it's pretty much taking the same piece of code and put it in all the other APIs. So this is what's left. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll move on to the next one. And 1035, this is for implementing flow decomposition.
Yeah, that's done.
Okay, let me move that one over. Thank you. And let me find my place again. And we had the discussion about 1315 when we reviewed new issues, and same for 1319 and 1320. Okay, so the rest of them are to-do items that we've got. so let me see if we've got Jason on the bridge today. I don't think I see Jason. So Jason did pick up 1022 to do in sprint 10. And so I don't see him on the bridge today, but as far as I know, this one is on target for sprint 10. We have 483 that last we'd heard. We were, I think, waiting for a response from Broadcom. I'm not sure if, let me see if Amit is on. I don't see Amit on the bridge today, but just a couple weeks ago, we were still waiting for a response from Broadcom. So we'll see if that gets updated during the sprint. And then 1093, I think this is one of the issues that's blocked by some of the other work. Is that correct? This is one of the tech profile items. So I think once the work on 732 completes, then work was going to shift over to some of these other stories. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think Gavin's just waiting for the integration work to happen.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And then 1023, this is one that Craig had agreed to pull in for Sprint 10 as well for supporting multiple unis on the ONU. So I think that work, we discussed that during our planning session, and we'll have the review on Thursday. Let me go over to the agenda and just confirm. So Craig, we have you on the agenda for Thursday to go over the proposed design for that issue. Is that still on track for this week?
Trying to be, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And this issue is also blocked by the tech profile work that Girish is working on. Okay,
that's right. And then while I'm over on the agenda for Thursday's call, Ken, let me just double check with you. We were talking about the Pontoon V2 demo, talking about containerization and integration with the core on Thursday as well. Is that on track at this point?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we'll still plan on these for our agenda for Thursday's call. So thanks to everyone involved in those. And let me switch back to the other screen. Okay, so this will have the discussion on Thursday. And then 1305, let me see if we've got Keita. I don't see Keita-san on the bridge today. This is some of the work he had planned for, that he assigned to himself for Sprint 10 for BBSIM work. And so I think we'll wait to get a status from him when we have him on a bridge. And then this is another one in that same group for supporting the Broadcom OpenOMCI ONU adapter, BBSIM. And then we have some OpenOMCI issues in the to-do state as well. So Chip, we have Vol 701 for CLI and NBI work that's proposed as well.
Yeah, and that's basically giving CLI access to the alarm table.
Okay.
Just trying to help on debug capabilities.
Okay. And right now, does it look like time-wise that this will work out for inclusion in the sprint?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How it goes. Okay. All right. Thank you. And then I think this one has been there for a bit. I don't think David's on the call. I was going to follow up with him. So I will follow up offline on this one. This one is just kind of stayed in the open state because there was a question about older releases for this issue. And so we have some follow-up to do. I'm not expecting there to be work for us in this one, except perhaps some documentation. 1130, I believe there was a workaround for this item. So it was on the to-do list, time permitting once the majority of the core redesign work completes. Ken, is that the reasonable assessment of the status on this one?
Sorry, do you mind repeat that one? I didn't hear.
That's okay. 1130, this is the Envoy building requires sudo. So I think this one, there's a workaround. And so we had you assigned to it for covering it, time permitting, once the work on the core redesign completes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Any other questions from the group? Or if anyone has cycles that they can take this over, they're welcome to discuss that as well. But and I think we have 9:52 for Shad. This was on publishing the uni ports and NNI ports that are used by OpenOLT. And so Shad, that one is assigned to you. And I think hopefully we can get that one completed. And then we have a couple that were mapped into the sprint we don't have owners for yet. One of them is for 1090, the operational status of the ONT uni port data. And we've got details below of the parameters that were expected to be retrieved. And so it looks like Sean sent a comment yesterday to Dawn seeing if we have resources. Not sure if Dawn is on the bridge today. I think we're still looking for an owner for this item. So I'll check with Sean and Dawn offline. And then 1193 was install and configure Kubernetes on a test node. And this one is at this point assigned to Luca. And I'm not sure if we have any, let's see, I don't think Luca's usually on the call. I think we'll need to follow up if this is going to be completed in this sprint. So we'll follow up on that offline. Okay, so that's an overview of where we are with Sprint 10. I know we have a lot of work still in this item. We have the containerization for the adapters. We have that work for OpenOLT and the Broadcom OpenOM CI ONU adapter that needs to get built in and covered in this sprint as well. So we have a lot of efforts going on in parallel. We've got about 15 minutes left. Are there other items that the group needs to discuss today? So we are expecting some more stories to come in related to the containerization effort. Those are still being worked and developed at this point. So those we know will get added in. I'm not sure if we have anything else at this point, unless new defects are opened up. Other questions from the group? Okay, it's a quiet bunch today. Let me switch back then to the agenda. So I think we've covered an overview of where we are for kicking off this first week of Sprint 10. A number of items in flight already. A lot of work is well underway. And then we'll have on Thursday's call some deep dive discussions and demo on Ponsum V2 and then on Vol 1023. And then we have some future discussions that are not yet firmly scheduled. We had the general discussion on multicast that was requested to try and brainstorm and look at what needs to be supported and design possibilities for that. I think Sean is not on the bridge today, Sean Ying, so I will follow up with him afterwards. We have a rough target of next Thursday, but need to check if it looks like that's realistic. Okay, I think that takes us through the issues we wanted to go over today. Last call for kind of round table for discussion with the group for today. All right, I think I'll give you a little bit of time back, not much, but 15 minutes. So thank you, everyone, and I will talk to everyone Thursday. And I neglected to mention that California, a Pacific time zone in the US, we changed time zones this past weekend, and daylight savings stopped. Didn't say I'm not talking about time zones well here, sorry. So I probably should have sent a notice out to remind people of that before today's call. So apologies for not doing that. So we are on our schedule now, so following our usual time in the Pacific time zone for the VOLTHA meetings. So see everyone on Thursday's call. Thank you, and we'll go ahead and drop the bridge for today.
Thank you.